The Alabama Farmers Federation and the Alabama Farmers Cooperative proudly present Simply Southern with your hosts Jim Allen and Mary Johns.
Hello, thanks for joining us today for Simply Southern. I'm Mary Johns.
And I'm Jim Allen. Coming up today, you'll need to lace up your hiking shoes as we're trekking to our state's second highest peak to find out about efforts to restore an Alabama landmark.
So I hope that this will eventually be, in my view, a hiker hostel. One of the finest, if we can make it go that way, that you're going to find anywhere.
Later, we'll visit Valiant Cross Academy. It was created in 2015 as the first all-male school in Alabama's capital city.
The most important part to Valiant Cross is that this is a relational place. We like to build rapport with all our young men. The kids really want to do and work harder for you when they know that you love them.
Sidney Phelps and Bonnie Plants will give you some things to consider when laying out a new backyard garden.
But after the break, we'll meet some fast-talking Northerners that like to spend their winter vacations right here in Alabama.
What sustains us? Food, family, faith. Alabama farmers live those things every day. They conserve our resources, clothe our families, and fill our tables. They cultivate jobs for our communities and values for our future. Farmers grow it all right here in Alabama.
There's no such thing as downtime when you own a farm. This is your land. You tend it and try to get the most from it, no matter the weather or time of day. It's been that way for generations. And for generations, your local quality co-op store has been there for you, with a full range of agriculture supplies and services, from feed to fertilizer, seed to grain storage, and the right hardware for any application. You'll always find what you need, plus friendly, knowledgeable advice at your local quality co-op store. There's one near you.
Every week we bring you plenty of reasons to love this beautiful state we call home. And that's not a hard thing to sell, especially when we're not breaking out the shovels and snowplows every winter season. And judging by the traffic from northern states headed our way in the latter months of every year, we're not alone in that sentiment. While the human snowbirds head for the coast, you'll find the real thing flocking to a stretch of Alabama paradise right along the Tennessee River. Maybe you've never heard of Joe Wheeler Wildlife Refuge, but it's pretty much Disney World for these guys. Running right beside the hectic daily flow of North Alabama interstate commuters, this sprawling mixture of forested wetlands and farmland is one of the best illustrations you'll find of our state's amazing natural beauty.
Wheeler is comprised of 35,000 acres, that's both land and water. It reaches between Decatur and Huntsville on both sides of the Tennessee River for about 19 miles. It kind of started as an experiment to see if a waterfowl refuge sanctuary could be established on a man-made lake, and in this case it was Wheeler Reservoir because of the Wheeler Dam. And so that's how it started, and it's obvious that it was a successful experiment.
Spend a crisp winter morning out here at the refuge and you'll see just how successful. If bird watching's your thing, you have reached avian Shangri-La.
There are over 200 species of birds on the refuge at any time. We were established as a wintering waterfowl refuge. So now we have anywhere from 35 to 50,000 ducks that spend the winter on Wheeler, and maybe 3,000 or 4,000 geese. And now with the sandhill cranes, we have around 20,000 that's been wintering here on the refuge. But of course, the special one that we have on the refuge now is the endangered whooping crane.
You'll occasionally see one of these lanky white birds among the more common sandhill cranes that frequent the refuge. Visitors to Wheeler's two-story observation building have the opportunity to see the only two species of crane in North America and one of the rarest birds in this part of the world.
It's the most endangered, one of the most endangered birds in North America. You know, again, too, it's the tallest bird in North America. Currently, the number, as far as total number of whooping cranes in the North America, is around 800. It got as low as around 15 birds at one time, that was it, and that's how close they came to becoming extinct. It's a great story, it's a success story, but it's still a lot of work to be done to try to get that population, higher than what it is.
The cranes have made Wheeler a popular destination for bird enthusiasts from all across the country. Every year, the refuge joins the city of Decatur to host the Festival of Cranes, which draws in thousands of people for a weekend of wildlife education and family entertainment.
A lot more people know about Wheeler National Wildlife Refuge because that brings in a large number of people who really follow that story about the whooping cranes and the comeback of the whooping cranes. I think last year with the festival, we kind of did a quick little survey of the license tags that were in the parking lot. And I forget the exact number, but there was something like 30 different state represented.
The cranes may get top billing, but they're far from the only thing to see at the refuge. With a huge population of waterfowl, hawks, and even a growing population of bald eagles, the variety of birds visiting the refuge throughout the year is astounding. And even if bird watching's not your thing, you have to admit the scenery's pretty hard to beat.
This is one of the top birding refuge in the area, really. It brings in a large number of birders, not just for the whooping crane, to see the whooping crane, but just to do general birding. I think if you asked any serious bird watcher, Wheeler Wildlife Refuge would be one of the top places, certainly in the state and probably in the whole Southeast.
They have a cooperative farming program with local farmers around the refuge where they leave part of their harvest for the birds to eat during the winter season.
And it is a true refuge too. There's no hunting of ducks or any of the waterfowl. Now they do allow limited hunting of deer and then some small game like rabbits and squirrels.
Yeah, but you got to use a flintlock rifle or a bow and arrow.
That's right. Up next, we'll take a trip to Montgomery's historic Dexter Avenue and the new Valiant Cross Academy.
The versatile peanut, meat of the earth, friend of the soil, tasty, nutritious, packed with protein. And Alabama peanut farmers nourish some very special things: families, communities, and Alabama's economy. Peanuts. Good for you, good for Alabama.
The unexpected. The inevitable. The inconvenient. Life can be difficult. Make it a little easier. Alpha Insurance.
A farmer has to live on faith. We do all we can do, but we can only control so much.
Alabama is the second largest poultry growing state in the nation, so we're trying our best to grow all the corn we can for that.
What we produce not only feeds and clothes all of the United States, but about half of what we make goes on to the world market.
We've been able to improve yields, have some things that can help us produce a better crop. I'm proud of the product we make and proud that I can say I'm an Alabama farmer.
Necessity is the mother of invention. This statement is as true in education as it is for product development. When growing populations made the old one-room schoolhouse obsolete, we developed a new system where students were grouped by grade levels and teachers specialized in certain subjects. And when the Brock brothers of Montgomery saw a need for something other than this traditional approach to education, well, they became inventors and developed Valiant Cross Academy.
Pass from parent to offspring.
At first, stepping into a classroom at Valiant Cross Academy feels like any other private school. Students and teachers use the latest technology for lessons. The 90 middle schoolers change classes for lessons in language arts, math, science, and social studies. But then you notice it's an all-male school, something new for the city of Montgomery. And you can feel the true innovation of Valiant Cross. It's the culture of the school.
Bucket!
One of the most important parts of Valiant Cross is that this is a relational place. We like to build rapport with all our young men. Our school day goes from 7:30 to 5, but the relationships, they go further than that. The kids really want to do and work harder for you when they know that you love them.
Founded by brothers Anthony and Frederick Brock, Valiant Cross Academy has a longer school day, which provides time for twice the math instruction and 3 times the literacy instruction of a traditional school. Another big difference, the Academy's Morning Village, a daily assembly for students and staff.
They kneel at the altar and pray. We go outside and we do our mottos and mantras, the same mottos and mantras that we do every day. It kind of gets you started. It's sort of a pep rally for academics every day.
Cheers and chants during the pep rally remind the young men that they are more than just students. They are scholars.
A student, he just comes to school. He goes about a normal day. A scholar, we're going to give it our hardest. We're going to try our best. We're just going to do what we're supposed to do.
The school boasts a 15-to-1 ratio of scholars to teachers, which ensures everyone stays on the same page, one of the Academy's mantras. And even though these students have 4 to 6 years before entering college, the Academy emphasizes the importance of preparing for their future early. Flags for colleges and universities decorate classroom walls and hallways.
When we walk up and down the hallways, we're always on the right side. Most of the time our hair is looking up, like our chin is tilted, so we always looking at the flags.
So you're always looking toward your future, huh?
Yes, ma'am.
Every day includes an hour of structured physical education, and lunch is a time to welcome special guests from the Montgomery community who inspire the scholars to achieve greater goals. As a private school, parents of Valiant Cross students pay partial tuition, but the Academy relies on donations to keep the doors open.
If anyone were to go to valiantcross.org, we have a donate button on there. We also support the Alabama Accountability Act here through our school. A lot of our students receive that scholarship, and so any taxpayer in the state of Alabama can support the school that way by giving of their state taxes. And so we have a lot of ways that we can, receive help.
On the drive-in, students can soak in history lessons as the Academy is located on historic Dexter Avenue.
I really do believe it was God at work to put us here to be on Dexter Avenue, which I think is the most historic street in America. Our young men have taken walking field trips to the Equal Justice Initiative Center, the Southern Poverty Law Center, to the King Church, the Capitol, the archives. So it's actually kind of woven into the history of Montgomery.
Valiant Cross started in the 2015-2016 academic year with 30 students in the 6th grade. Currently, there are 90 enrolled in 6th, 7th, and 8th grades, and a high school housed on the campus of Troy University, Montgomery, will open next year with 30 freshmen. But the hope is to continue growing and educating the city's future leaders.
They want to be here, and that's what is so fabulous about it, is just to see the hope, for these kids. And I think the city is seeing that, and it's just been a beautiful, beautiful thing.
We really want them to have a vested buy-in in the Montgomery community to impact Montgomery and to impact the state of Alabama. We talk to our young men all the time about the importance of being great husbands, being great fathers, being great citizens. And so that's my goal in Valiant Cross. When I start seeing them coming back with their families to our morning village sometime and just coming back, being a part of the school, that's when things are going to really become special for us here.
Since it is an all-male school, and that's a relatively new concept in Montgomery, it took the Brocks a while to get their first 30 students signed up, but now they have a really long waiting list.
And the Brocks were born and reared in Montgomery, so they have a vested interest in improving the school system in Montgomery.
They do, and I think we'll see a lot of great things from Valiant Cross.
When Simply Southern continues, we're hiking up the southernmost mountain in the Appalachians to see how a private group is partnering with the state to save a piece of Alabama's history.
One out of 4 Alabama residents have benefited from the Alabama Cooperative Extension System. Last year, Master Gardener Managed Gardens donated $150,000 worth of fruits and vegetables to food banks, and over 25,000 young people developed math, science, technology, and engineering skills through 4-H. Now what we want to know is, how can we help you?
Soybean is a very versatile product. We make crayons out of it.
A lot of the combines you see rolling through the fields have a lot of plastic side panels that are made from a soy product.
The soybeans that we grow on our farm mostly goes into chicken feed.
Soybean production in Alabama employs over 10,000 people.
We grow some of the best soybeans in the world.
We go the extra mile to make sure when our name is stamped on it, we know it's the best product we can produce.
Support healthy food from local farmers by purchasing a Farming Feeds Alabama license plate. The tag funds education and promotion efforts, including Ag in the Classroom, agricultural scholarships, and youth programs. Get your Ag tag today.
Being a catfish farmer to me means carrying on a legacy that my father started about 35 years ago. It's a good way to take care of the land and provide a nutritious product for people all over the world. My name is Mary Quitman Holmes. My sister, my father, and I own this farm, Lawson Catfish Farm, in Perry County, Alabama.
Most everyone knows about Mount Cheaha, Alabama's tallest mountain. Fewer will be familiar with Flag Mountain, located some 60 miles to the southwest. But that'll soon change if the Alabama Forestry Commission and a hikers group are successful. Kevin Worthington has more on their efforts to restore the Flag Mountain Fire Tower.
These days, it's difficult to reach the Flag Mountain Tower. Without making prior arrangements, the only way to visit is by hiking. But 50 to 75 years ago, it was a critical tool in fighting forest fires.
My dad, he was the forest ranger. He was probably the first ranger up here. And Kate Prater was a radio operator at that time. She had the apparatus up here to plot the fire. One to call in, another call in, and she had the cross wires. And when the cross wires come, that's where the smoke is at.
In the 80s, however, technology improved to the point that airplanes were used for spotting forest fires, and the towers were no longer needed.
The buildings started to deteriorate during that time period because we weren't maintaining them like we should have. About mid to late 90s, a local group from Coosa County, they asked the state forester if they could lease the property and try to restore some of the buildings. Of course, we were grateful that they did that and gracious of them. And really, without their help and their effort, the buildings probably would have fallen.
While they kept up the outside of the buildings, the stairs inside the tower are unsafe to climb, so the building stays locked most of the time. But the state has a new partner, and together they hope to develop the site as a destination for hikers.
So I hope that this will eventually be, in my view, a hiker hostel. One of the finest, if we can make it go that way, that you're going to find anywhere. So I'm a hiker. This is why I'm here, and this is what I'm about. This is my idea for Flag Mountain, that it's going to be a hiker hostel, open to everybody.
Eberhardt knows about trails. He's logged literally thousands of miles hiking all 11 National Scenic Trails. Last year alone, he hiked 2,300 miles from Chicago to California along the famed Route 66. But he says he's continually drawn back to an 1,100-foot mountain in Alabama.
I've hiked all these trails. I've been to all these places. You notice where I am now? This is it, man. This is it. Flag Mountain is the most amazing and beautiful place of all.
But to draw hikers and other groups to the mountain, the Forestry Commission wants to improve both the fire tower and nearby cabins, which were all built by FDR's Civilian Conservation Corps, or CCC. That, however, will take money the state currently doesn't have.
A lot of federal partners work with the state, so that's a good thing because you know, we already have partnerships that we may be able to utilize to try to get some federal funding. It's always helpful to be a state agency to get some private funding because they know that we're going to be around. We're not going anywhere, that we're going to be here. So hopefully we'll be able to get some private funds as well to do that.
The state has set up a Facebook page with more information about the tower and a link to a GoFundMe page for anyone who would like to donate to the restoration. They hope the work will help some folks make new memories while rekindling memories for others.
it just makes me feel real good to see that history will last if we take care of it. Of course, I have left and then come back, and seem like when I come back, it really brings back some fond memories of running around uphill with my brothers and hiking and hunting and to seeing what's around the next curve, you know.
For Simply Southern, I'm Kevin Worthington.
The Pinhoti Trailhead is nearby, and if you're adventurous, you can hike the 170 miles to join the Appalachian Trail.
And then you could continue 2,200 miles from Springer Mountain, Georgia to Mount Katahdin, Maine to finish out the Appalachian Trail.
You could do that, Mary.
But you're not gonna, huh?
Oh, no. Oh, no.
When Simply Southern continues, Sidney Phelps of Bonnie Plants has some things for you to consider when laying out a new backyard garden.
There's nothing quite like sitting down to a home-cooked meal with fresh vegetables from the garden. With Bonnie Plants from your local quality co-op store, you can enjoy the freshest vegetables right from your own backyard. And no matter if you're a raised bed gardener, a rose gardener, or if you farm hundreds of acres, your quality co-op store has exactly what you need to get the most out of your plants. You'll always find what you need, plus friendly, knowledgeable advice at your local quality co-op store. There's one near you.
What we eat, what we wear. It all starts somewhere. And if it's good, it usually starts with a farmer. And that somewhere is right here in Alabama. In a field, in a barn, on a tractor. Right now, there's a farmer starting something good for all of us. And it all starts right here in Alabama.
For more Simply Southern, be sure to follow us on social media. And while you're online, visit our website, simplysouthern.tv.net. Simply Southern will continue in a moment.
We believe a plant should be more than a plant. This one is. It's all you need for your garden to succeed because it's a Bonnie plant. It represents hundreds of varieties of Bonnie's quality veggies and herbs. But more, it's from generations of Bonnie people who are passionate about sharing their love of gardening with you. Look for this little Bonnie plant and a whole family of plants like it in your garden center. Bonnie plants, so you'll know how to grow.
Hey folks, Sidney Phelps here with Bonnie Plants. Today we're here at a homeowner's house to help them find the perfect spot to put in their garden. Now, they have got a beautifully landscaped backyard that is very big. They're trying to find out if they want to go directly in the ground with a garden, use a raised bed, or containers. And we have a lot to choose from. The biggest thing is we've got to find the right spot to put in their garden. So they want to mix up this landscape with some fresh vegetables and fresh herbs. Now behind me, you can see they have got a very big area to work with. You see the sandy area. The sand is going to show me that it's not getting any grass, which means there's not a lot of sunlight. And they have crepe myrtles and other trees that are going to put a big canopy in. They still haven't filled out yet for this spring, but what it's going to do is once that comes in, it's going to be a lot of shade. The other issue that I see is water is not easily accessible to this spot. They're going to have to run a hose or they'll have to dig a trench depending on how they want to irrigate it. So what we need to do is we need to find a location that's more suitable for the garden. Even though this has got a great spot and it's a good layout, we need to find a little bit better place that we get the sunlight, because sunlight is the key factor for vegetables and herbs. We'll make sure that we're getting at least 6 hours of sunlight, afternoon sun being the best. So let's go see if we can find another spot that's more beneficial for this homeowner. Now this is a great spot to put in a raised bed garden. As you can see, the homeowner has already got some landscaping here as well as a great ground cover that's very thick. The benefit to this area is we have got a ton of sunlight. So this area is going to get sunlight all afternoon, 6+ hours. The plants are going to be healthy. It's going to be perfect for vegetables and herbs. We've also got the other benefit of having irrigation nearby. The homeowner's got irrigation around over here to water azaleas and shrubbery. So all we have to do is just tie into that. We can run directly into a raised bed and put that into the irrigation controller. So we can put drip irrigation into a raised bed. Very simple. But this area is going to have some issues for the homeowner possibly. Like I said, they'd have to remove this landscaping. They'd have to cut a path through this ground cover that's already very thick and then make their way to work in the garden. But it's definitely a good option that we have available that we can pitch to the homeowner. The other thing is we can put multiple raised beds. There's plenty of space here if they want to expand their garden Also, we can use the backyard fence as a trellis, whether we want to put lattice in there for cucumbers or anything like that. So this is one of the best ones that we have to offer the homeowner. Let's go see what other options they have in their backyard that we can pitch to them. Now this location is extremely prime for our homeowners. Right out their back door, it's easy access for them to be able to come harvest any fruits and vegetables that they may have. Their space is about 30 feet by 4 feet, so a couple of 8-foot by 4-foot raised beds would work great here. My recommendation is using 2 of those, spacing them out, and mulching the entire area to make it look great, because once again, we are on their back patio. If they wanted to expand or mix and match, it's an area that they could do 8x4s, 4x4s, and just kind of lay different garden plants out. They could have a garden for salads, for tomatoes and peppers, just strictly for herbs and grilling, since they have a grilling station on their back patio, or even make a summer garden for cucumbers, watermelons, whatever they'd like to harvest. It's very quick, it's very simple, and it would also be attractive being on the back patio. So let's talk about the positives that we have here. Sunlight being the first. We're going to get 6+ hours of sunlight on a white backdrop, which is going to be very good for the plants and very healthy. The other added benefit, unlike our other areas, is we had really quick access to water. Here we have 2 accesses to water. We have the regular city water that they can use a hose pipe or use drip irrigation, however they want to use that. But since we're so close to the house, we've got gutters. And with the gutters, they can use rain barrels to collect it and be more sustainable in how they want to garden. Now, this is an easy setup, an easy tear down for the consumer to have this on their back patio. But one thing about it is, like I said, we are on their patio, so if our couple does a lot of entertaining, well, we might want to look to the raised bed in the backyard. So when you're trying to plan your garden, make sure that you go to bonnieplants.com, look at some of our garden concepts, and see what works best for you.
Whether you're a new gardener or have been growing your own food for years, bonnieplants.com has information that'll likely be helpful to you. If you have a question for Sidney, drop him an email at simplysouthern@alafarm.com.
Thanks for watching Simply Southern this week, but it's time for us to mosey on out. Join us again next time and we'll meet a family that's experienced the highest of highs and the lowest of lows before finally becoming successful as leather craftsmen.
And we'll find out who our viewers said makes the best peanut butter dessert in Alabama. I'm Mary Johns.
And I'm Jim Allen. We'll see you again next week.
Simply Southern is a production of the Alabama Farmers Cooperative and the Alabama Farmers Federation.